Hey everyone, welcome back for another episode of the Adam C. Maher Show. Hope you guys are feeling good today on this beautiful day. I wanted to talk about this story, which is making waves on the internet. Guys, this is wild. Despite what it might look like, this is actually not published by the Babylon Bee. No, this is real. This is painfully real. Look at this. This is published by Leading Report. They say, breaking, DNC panel has voted to oust David Hogg and nullify his victory because it violated gender diversity rules. Yep. You heard and read that right. David Hogg, who was recently elected vice chair of the DNC, they are now trying to oust him. This is wild. I'm looking at this from USA Today. Look at this. David Hogg may lose position as DNC vice chair after committee panel votes to void election. So we're going to go ahead and talk about this, talk about what it means. We have some perspectives from Charlie Kirk and Riley Gaines, and I think this is a really, really interesting, hypocritical development, and I want to talk about it. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Also, guys, if you like having conversations like this, if you think they matter, please consider liking and subscribing. It's one of the best ways you can help me out. Okay, let's jump right in. So I am going to read a little bit of this article published by USA Today, pretty much recounting the events, giving people some context so we're all on the same page. But right after that, I do want us to watch this video because, guys, Bill Maher recently had David Hogg on the show. I believe this was Friday night, and I do think this is just incredibly telling of just how far the Democratic Party has gone. This is wild. So look at this. Washington, David Hogg, who has been at the center of a Democratic National Committee controversy over his efforts to primary out-of-touch, ineffective incumbents in Congress, is at risk of losing his position as the committee's vice chair. Hogg announced in April that his group, Leaders We Deserve, was pouring $20 million to help fund young candidates who will challenge incumbents in safe blue districts. DNC Chairman Ken Martin has urged officers to remain neutral in primary elections, giving Hogg an ultimatum of resigning from the committee or divorcing himself from his organization. Imagine that. Considering the possibility of divorcing this man from the very organization that has platformed him, one that he grew to love. This is wild, although I don't think this is incredibly unique. I think a lot of former Democrats actually resonate with that ultimatum decision. A little further down, the Credentials Committee of the DNC voted in favor of a resolution on Monday recommending avoiding the February election that made Hogg and Malcolm Kenyatta vice chairs. The vote comes after Oklahoma DNC member Kaylin Free, who ran for the vice chair position, argued in a complaint that the procedure by which Hogg and Kenyatta were elected unfairly disadvantaged the female candidates on the ballot. The resolution will be brought to the entire DNC body for a final vote. Look at that. And if you're wondering what David Hogg is saying about this, he says, I ran to be DNC vice chair to help make the Democratic Party better, not to defend an indefensible status quo that has caused voters in almost every demographic group to move away from us. Now, I wish I could say he's wrong, but it's so true. We see this. We know how true this is, and I'm at least glad he's not lying to himself there. So check this out: David Hogg and Bill Maher.
Look, we're very proud of you. We feel you grew up on this show. How many times you been on this show?
This is my third time.
Oh, I thought it was like 8. Okay, well.
No, I'm not that old yet.
You're done very well. No, you're only 25, and you're the vice chair of the Democratic National Committee. Very impressive. What does that job entail?
So that job really helps to play a role in managing a lot of what the DNC focuses on, which is things like the presidential primary. It's helping to be the campaign and waiting for the president. It's helping to manage the debate schedule and helping to support our state parties and local parties around the country. It's a volunteer role, I should add, as well. So it's entirely volunteer capacity.
So nothing.
Yeah. Well,
I was hoping for 7. But what?
And here's another clip, which is just way more ridiculous than the last one, if you could believe that. Check this out.
Right now, what I think happened last election is younger men, they would rather vote for somebody who even if they don't completely agree with, they don't feel judged by, than somebody who they do agree with, that they feel like they have to walk on eggshells around constantly because they're going to be judged or ostracized or excommunicated. And what's interesting about this moment is it feels like the two parties in some senses have flipped, where Republicans used to be the judgmental assholes in many ways. And since many Democrats, despite us, I would say for most of us coming from the right place of wanting to do the right thing, we've created a culture where we say, well, if you say the wrong thing, you're excommunicated. And that's just not how human beings work. Nobody is perfect. But ultimately, what we have to do here is figure out how to bring people back in and work towards the bigger goal of advancing the future of this country and helping young people especially get by so that they're able to focus on their lives and, getting with a young woman or something like that, instead of how are they going to pay their rent, for example, or how are they working their 2 jobs. Young people should be able to focus on what young people should be focused on, which is how to get laid and how to go and have fun. Rather,
David Hogg for president, ladies and gentlemen. Great to see you. We'll see you back here, I'm sure, very soon.
So there you have it, David Hogg with Bill Maher. And you know what? I do agree with a lot of what he said, but he totally lost me at the end. I agree with this first part where he says nobody is perfect, but ultimately what we have to do here is figure out how to bring young people back in and work towards a bigger goal of advancing the future of this country and helping young people especially get by. I am with you. I'm with you. Yes, let's do that. But then he says young people should be able to focus on what young people should be focused on, which is how to get laid and how to go and have fun. What are we doing here? What kind of, this is so childish. Come on. I don't like it. Maybe some people do. Maybe I'm just showing my age a bit, but it was ridiculous. But I did see this from Charlie Kirk pretty much advocating for traditionalism in a sense. Check this out.
How nihilistic and also how dismissive of all the concerns that young people are feeling right now. The Democrats the last couple of years, and Hogg is half right about this, they have lost young people, especially young men. When I go to these college campuses, though, they don't just want to have more degeneracy or debauchery. They're looking for something greater, something higher. They're in the pursuit of something good and true and beautiful. Remember, if you're on a college campus right now, the very young people that we at Turning Point USA are winning over, large in part thanks to President Trump, you suffered under the lies and the deception of COVID, of wearing a mask while you shower, of the 9th booster shot, of the hyper-policing of every pronoun and every syllable that you say. And they want something greater than that, not something darker and something that is rooted in a cynical worldview. And David Hogg is so dismissive of young people that want to have a mission, that want to have meaning, that don't just want to pursue what makes them feel good, but instead young people increasingly want to do good. This is also why we're seeing young people go back to church. According to Axios, a story just a couple days ago, church attendance is going up large in part thanks to young Gen Z men. David Hogg is selling a very dark worldview, and we are going to embrace one that lifts people up and one that is rooted in eternal principles.
So good. I completely agree. And you know what? I'd also add, if I could share my own perspective as a young man, if you could indulge me for a second, I completely agree. Like I don't just want to chase something that makes me feel good. I actually want to produce something that is good for me, for my family. I want to create the good. I want the good to come out of me, not just the good to come to me. So I love that Charlie Kirk was advocating for those principles and those values. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. So Riley Gaines responds to this headline that we saw in the beginning from Leading Report. She says, this might be the most unintentionally hilarious headline I've ever read. If this doesn't make David Hogg realize that the Democratic Party is anything but democratic, nothing will. And I do think that this moment's going to really be the red pill for a lot of those people who are on the fence, who maybe they weren't exposed to the corruption. Maybe this is going to be that thing that actually that thing that actually pulls back that single final layer of corruption, which I think is overall good. Checks out. Kazin says, and just like that, the Democratic National Committee proves its name to be an oxymoron while undermining one of the few people who could help Democrats win in 2028, all because of the same identity-based worldview that caused them to lose in 2024. And I loved how he ends this. The snake eats its own tail. When I read that earlier, I'm like, that was just incredibly powerful. I love that imagery. So good. Anyways, I wanted to share one final thing. This has nothing to do with that story, but this is also incredibly important. I didn't know this until I saw this from Angela Statin. She says, just let my friend RFK Jr., or just left my friend RFK Jr. after dropping off his award and reminding him how deeply he is appreciated. And look at this. He's facing 2 Senate hearings tomorrow. Both Republicans and Democrats are trying to take him out before he can finish his job. If you're part of the Maher movement, now is the time to show your support. So I didn't want to let everybody know, people who are curious, check this out. There is a full committee hearing on fiscal year 2026 for the Department of Health and Human Services budget. And you could see that the Honorable Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Secretary of Health and Human Services, is going to be there. So anybody who wanted to tune in there, I wanted to make that clear. But guys, let me know what you think about this. This is a wild story that is both surprising and unsurprising, but I'd love to know what you thought about this. Let me know about it in the comment section. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Are you disappointed in the Democratic Party? Are you not surprised by it? I love to know what you thought about all this. And please consider liking and subscribing if you want to see more conversations like this. It really, really does mean the world to me. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you all next time. Episode's over already? Geez, that was fast. Well, they say beautiful things do not last forever, but feel free to watch and listen to another one of these episodes if you're interested in those conversations as well. Also, this next part is huge. Make sure to obliterate that like and subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never skip a beat. I also have a newsletter where we dive into the news, politics, and ideas that shape our future. If you're interested in signing up, I'd really appreciate that. Anyways, that's the end of this episode. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I'll see you next time.